I always knew the day my father's inheritance would be discussed, my name would be treated like a mistake. But I never imagined it would happen so publicly. So shamelessly. So cruelly. It was a quiet Sunday afternoon when our family gathered at my parents' old house. The house where I had grown up. The house where I had learned to walk. The house where my mother had whispered prayers for all of us. Now it felt cold. Empty. Like it was waiting for a war. My father sat at the head of the table. His health had been declining for months. His hair was thinner. His hands trembled slightly. But his voice was still firm. "Today," he said, "we will talk about property and inheritance." My heart tightened. Not because of greed. Because I already knew how this story usually ends for daughters. My brother sat beside him. Confident. Relaxed. Like someone who already owned everything. My sister-in-law was next to him, quietly smiling. My mother looked nervous. Avoiding my eyes. Relatives filled the room. Uncles. Aunts. Cousins. All pretending to be supportive. All waiting for drama. My father opened a file. Inside were property papers. Bank details. Land documents. Years of hard work. Summarized in pages. Before he could even speak properly, my brother leaned forward, cleared his throat, and said loudly, "Dad, there's no need to complicate things." Everyone looked at him. He continued, "I'm the only son. Obviously, everything should come to me." Silence. Heavy. Uncomfortable. My mother shifted in her seat. Some relatives nodded quietly. As if it was normal. As if it was tradition. As if I didn't exist. I looked at my father. Waiting. Hoping. He didn't say anything. He just stared at the papers. That hurt more than words. My brother went on. "I'll take care of you in old age. I'll manage the property. I'll keep the family name alive." Then he looked at me. And smiled. Not kindly. Mockingly. "You're married now. Your husband will provide for you." I wasn't married. But in his mind, I was already someone else's problem. I felt heat rise in my chest. But I stayed calm. Because I had learned. Anger only entertains them. My aunt whispered, "He's right, Beta. Boys handle these matters better." I wanted to scream. When did respect become gendered? When did blood become conditional? Instead, I smiled. Softly. Politely. And said nothing. That confused them. My brother frowned. He expected tears. Arguments. Drama. Not silence. My father finally spoke. "Let's listen to everyone first." My brother sighed dramatically. "Dad, why waste time?" He turned to the relatives. "You all know I've been handling everything anyway." That was a lie. For years, I had paid hospital bills, managed documents, handled taxes, fixed leaks, paid loans. When my father was sick, I slept on hospital chairs. When money was short, I skipped meals. But no one remembered that. Because daughters' sacrifices are invisible. My brother added. She hardly visits. She's busy with her own life. Busy working. Busy earning. Busy sending money home. Busy being responsible. But that didn't count. My mother finally looked at me. Her eyes were apologetic. But her lips were silent. That silence told me everything. I wasn't fighting just my brother. I was fighting tradition, fear, and decades of injustice. My father looked tired, confused, torn. And in that moment, I realized something. They all thought I was weak. They thought I didn't know. They thought I had no proof, no plan, no power. But they were wrong. Because while they were busy deciding my future without me, I had been preparing. For years. I leaned forward, met my father's eyes, and smiled gently. "Dad," I said softly. "Don't you know?" Everyone looked at me. The room froze. My brother laughed nervously. "Know what?" he asked. I took a deep breath and replied, "That everything you own is already legally protected." Their smiles faded. Confusion spread. Fear entered the room. And I knew. This meeting. The moment I said those words, the atmosphere shifted. Legally protected? My brother's smile disappeared. "What do you mean?" he asked sharply. My father looked at me, confused. "Beta, what are you talking about?" he said. I calmly opened my handbag, took out a slim folder, placed it on the table. For years, no one had ever seen me bring documents to family meetings. They had only seen me bring food, medicine, money, sacrifice. Not evidence. "This," I said softly, tapping the folder, "contains copies of every property paper, loan record, and registration document." Relatives leaned forward. Curiosity replaced judgment. My brother scoffed. "Why do you even have those?" he snapped. "Those are my responsibility." I looked at him. "Were they?" I asked quietly. When Dad was in the hospital, who ran to offices? When notices came, who replied? When taxes were due, who paid? No one answered. Because everyone knew. It was me. I continued. 3 years ago, when Dad had surgery, he gave me power of attorney. My father nodded slowly. "Yes. I remember," he murmured. "You were handling everything then." My brother's face tightened. "You never told me that," he said. "Because you never asked," I replied. I opened the folder. Inside were stamped copies, signed papers, legal seals, proof. Under this, I explained, no property can be transferred without my consent. Murmurs filled the room. My aunt whispered, "Is that true?" The lawyer cousin who was present nodded. "Yes. It's valid." My brother stood up. Angry now. "So you planned this?" he shouted. "You were waiting to steal everything." I didn't raise my voice. "I was protecting it," I said. "From people who see inheritance as entitlement." My mother started crying. "Why are you doing this?" she asked. "We are family." I held her hand. Exactly, I said. And family doesn't erase daughters. Then I revealed the real truth. 2 years ago, I continued. Dad quietly wrote a will. My father looked surprised. I did? He asked. Yes, I said gently. When you were scared after your heart attack. You asked me to arrange it. I took out another paper. A copy of the will. It stated clearly. All assets to be divided equally. Son. Daughter. Wife. No favoritism. No bias. No tradition. Just fairness. Silence returned. Heavy. Painful. My brother's voice cracked. This can't be real. It is, I replied. You just never cared enough to know. Then I added. One more thing. Everyone looked at me. For years, I've been paying the remaining loan on this house. Gasps. I cleared half of it already, I said. With my salary. My father's eyes filled with tears. You did that, alone? He whispered. I nodded. Because I didn't want this house to be taken. My brother sat down slowly. Defeated. Exposed. For the first time. He wasn't the hero. I was no longer invisible. But I wasn't done. Because there was one final truth. They still didn't know. And when I revealed it, the room was completely silent. No one spoke. No one moved. The truth had finally landed. Heavy. Unavoidable. My father stared at the papers in front of him for a long time. Then he slowly looked at me. His eyes were wet. Why didn't you ever tell us? He asked quietly. I smiled sadly. Because no one ever asked, I replied. No one ever thought I mattered enough to know. My mother wiped her tears. We didn't realize, she whispered. I nodded. I know, I said. You were busy trusting tradition. My brother finally looked at me. Not with anger. With shame. I thought, he started. I thought it was my right. Rights are earned, I replied gently. Not inherited through gender. He lowered his head. For the first time in his life. He had no answer. My father took a deep breath. I'm sorry, he said. To you. That was all I had ever wanted. Not property. Not money. Just acknowledgement. Then he picked up the will. And spoke firmly. This will be followed, he said. Exactly as written. No arguments. No exceptions. Relatives exchanged uncomfortable looks. Some looked disappointed. Some looked relieved. My brother nodded slowly. I accept it, he said. I didn't smile in victory. I didn't celebrate. Because this wasn't about winning. It was about dignity. I stood up. One more thing, I said. Everyone looked at me. I don't want control. I don't want fights. I don't want power. I placed the folder back in my bag. I only wanted fairness.